Well, friends, it is my favorite time of year once again in terms of my channel and these videos that I'm making here, the end of year video. Welcome to my wish list video. I'm going to be talking about everything I want to see personally from Nintendo in 2026, talking about my personal wishes. Before we start, I am so excited to get into these wishes, but before we start, make sure you press that like button and subscribe to join the channel. Now, let's get right into it. 2025 was weird in a lot of ways for Nintendo, and the first thing I wish for in 2026 to kind of counteract all of that weirdness is less hate and Nintendo grifting. I want to see the community come together in a better way than it did in 2025. 25 was a horrible year for Nintendo's community. A lot of it was self-inflicted by Nintendo. A lot of it was the pricing, the communication, or lack thereof, in my opinion. I think they had so many struggles with just making sure that we knew what was going on in a coherent way, and we just didn't understand what they were trying to do because they refused to communicate with us. And that is the number one problem with Nintendo right now, is their communication. How they are telling us things, why they are telling us things in ways that they are. We would never be accustomed to Nintendo having GameStop essentially announce for us what is going to happen with this Mario Kart World bundle. But now, because GameStop got it out there that the bundle is in fact going to be a limited thing, it is ending, everyone all of a sudden forgets that Nintendo did tell us back in April that this was going to be a limited bundle. It was never supposed to be a bundle that we kept forever. And here on this channel, we remembered that, but I know so many people did not. Some of the big Nintendo YouTubers I follow did not remember this. And so, GameStop, why are you announcing things for Nintendo? This is very unlike Nintendo. So first of all, just get your communication down. Get everything down into the way that you normally do. Make sure that Nintendo, moving forward, has strong communication and is very, very clear about what they're going to do. That's the number one thing. The pricing debacle, all of Mario Kart World's hate comes from $80. Pretty much all of it comes from it being $80. But people thought it was going to be $90, and then people thought it was going to be $100 physical. The misinformation was going crazy around April and around the reveal of the Switch 2 after that Switch 2 Direct. And so for this year, stronger communication, less hate. I want people to be excited about Nintendo. I want there to be an influx of people who come into the community and say, wow, the Switch 2 is an incredible console that has a lot of incredible games, and that there is just less controversy overall. Nintendo has always had controversy. They always will. They're always going to have haters. But I want to see less of them in 26. And for my next wish on this wish list, number 2 here, I am going to wish that we get an undeniable, objective, huge first-party game. I don't know what that game could be. Let's go Smash Brothers. Let's go 3D Mario, 3D Zelda. I think those games are probably unlikely outside of potentially a 3D Mario, but I'm telling you, if we get a huge, undeniable game that is just incredible from top to bottom, I think we will have a lot less hate in 2026. I think people will be able to rally around an undeniably great game. And the problem is we kind of had one this year, but even it wasn't it, right? We had Donkey Kong Bonanza, and that game was phenomenal. From start to finish, most people adored that game. It was universally acclaimed by most people. Then the problem was it got DLC about a month after its release. It released in July, we had August, sure, but then in September, that direct early in September, we saw our first look at the DK Island and Emerald Rush, which was paid DLC. We had to pay a month and a half after this game's release for new content, and people thought it was scummy. People were very upset with Nintendo for that because apparently you'd have to be developing that at the same time as you were developing the game, and so people were saying, oh, why didn't they just include it in the base game if they were already developing it? That's pretty scummy of you, Nintendo, to just give us something that should have been there from the very start. People were comparing this to the Mushroom Kingdom in Mario Odyssey, in which that was the final kingdom you could go to in Odyssey, and that was like the big celebration, like, oh my goodness, here we are back in this Mario 64 environment in the modern day Odyssey game. Just a cool callback, just a great place to be and to just enjoy your time there. And it's so much different here in Donkey Kong Bonanza to have to pay for that DK Island experience. Now, I debunked that theory a while ago, back when it was first announced and revealed around that direct time. they had completely different credits, completely different staff members were working on DK Island. That means that yes, they were developing this probably at the same time, but it was not the base team working on it. It was a completely different team working on the DLC, and it just so happened to be at that time that they decided to release and reveal it. Long story short though, I just want a first-party game that everyone loves, that has no controversy, and is from a big franchise. Come on, can we just get one big thing that no one has to argue about? Because we got some great games this year, but Kirby, Zelda Hyrule Warriors, we got Metroid, like these are not big franchises. Pokemon was, but of course Pokemon is nothing but controversial. I want something big with no problems. Number 3, the Nintendo Switch 2. I have a wish about this console, and my wish is I really, really don't want it to go up in price, because if it does, oh boy, the hate we have seen this year is going to look like child's play compared to what we will see next year, because that hate will almost assuredly be directed straight towards Nintendo rather than all of the circumstances around why the price is going up to begin with. So why am I saying that? Why am I wishing for that, even though most people probably aren't thinking about the price of the Switch 2 going up? Well, it's because there is some circumstances right now with AI, with people constructing different things, with all of the tariff situation, with just everything in terms of worldwide economics going up in price and just chip shortages. And there are things with RAM right now. There is a lot going on that I don't fully understand, but people are saying, a lot of people in fact, that the Switch 2 could very well be in that range of devices in which the price goes up, because the products, the reason that you manufacture it, the things behind the Switch 2 that you put together to make the Switch 2 are going up in price. And so Nintendo is going to want to follow suit with that, perhaps, with that price increase of the products itself to get the Switch 2, and then the Switch 2 going up. It's going to be a debacle, and I really just want them to say, we're just gonna swallow the cost. We're going to swallow that cost. And even if we're making a profit right now, perhaps we'll be making a little bit less of a profit with the console, but we'll make it back with those games. I really hope that they swallow that cost, that they keep it at $450. Because to be honest with you, I think $450 is a steal of a deal for the console. It is packed with powerful hardware that I really genuinely think will hold up for years and years to come. Both PlayStation and Xbox already raised the price of the PS5 and Xbox Series X, and of course moving forward, those new consoles are going to be even more expensive in the next couple years to come. I don't want Nintendo to follow suit. I want them to stay as cheap and affordable as possible, because that has been what people expect from Nintendo, mostly cheap and affordable consoles. And this $450 already is not all that cheap and affordable for the economy that we live in. So I really, really do not want them to raise it. Now I have a bunch of Mario wishes I have in a row here that I would like to cover. The very first one is a 3D Mario game. I really want to see a 3D Mario in 2026. It is time. I know we're getting Super Mario Bros. Wonder at the early part of this year. That Switch 2 edition, that's going to be a 2D Mario game. I hope that that is good, that content is worth the extra upgrade there. But I really also just want a 3D game. I know we had Odyssey in 2017 and then Bowser's Fury in 2021. It's not enough. Bowser's Fury is not its own game. It's not. It's a pack-in part of 3D World. It's a part of that product. It's not its own thing. I'm sure that team has been working very diligently on a 3D Mario. You can pretty much always assume that 3D Mario is in development. Even if it's true that the Mario Odyssey team, part of them at least, were working on DK Bonanza, we know that some of those people were working on it. We know for a fact that some people were not working on it, including Koizumi. I do know for a fact that he was not working on Donkey Kong Bonanza. I covered that in a video this year. He is definitely leading another team to work on the next 3D Mario, and I hope it's grand. I hope it's amazing. I hope it levels up everything from Odyssey, moves into a newer direction, and just is astounding in terms of graphical fidelity and just how fun it looks to play. I want this to be the big game in 2026 that everyone looks at and says, wow, that's a Game of the Year contender right there. And it's not just a DK Bonanza type contender, it's a real one. It's a contender that can genuinely take Game of the Year. A big part of my predictions and wishes last year to get a 3D Mario alongside of a new Mario Kart, and I really, really thought that Mario Kart was going to be the big holiday game and that 3D Mario was going to be the big launch game. They kind of reversed that into where Mario Kart was the launch game, and then a 3D big platformer in terms of Donkey Kong, not Mario, was the next game, but it wasn't the holiday title. So I just want a 3D Mario game. Please give us a new 3D Mario. It has been so long. We're coming up on 9 years, people. My next wish is that the Mario Galaxy movie would just be amazing. I just want it to be phenomenal. I don't want it to be a sequel that is lackluster, because I really do think if they had just gone the Super Mario Bros. 2 route and they did like a Super Mario World theme, that it just wouldn't have been as great. They decided to skip straight to Galaxy because of how grand it is and how cinematic it is going to be and potentially could be. I think Rosalina's backstory could be a big part of this movie. I hope they take that seriously. I hope that they spend at least a few minutes in that storybook room and they talk about her backstory and it's not this horrible thing. I hope Brie Larson does not get hated on for being an amazing Rosalina. Like, I really do think she's going to be amazing, but people are going to hate on her regardless. So I just want it to be great. I want it to be commonly accepted as great, with a few people having their own opinions, whatever, that's fine. But I just want it to be something that we can all unify around and say, wow, what an incredible movie. And then for my last little bit of this Mario side of predictions here, Mario Tennis Fever. That is coming out in February. We are just a couple months away from a new Mario Tennis. I know most people do not care, but I do. Ray from Ray's Nintendo Talk cares a lot about his Mario Tennis. I loved Mario Tennis Aces. Proof right here. I have over 100 hours in Tennis Aces. I adore this franchise. I adore this specific subset of Mario games. I love me some tennis games. Every single time people say, why didn't we get a football game? Why didn't we get a new type of sports game? Why didn't we get a new baseball game? Why didn't we get all these different things? It's because of suckers like me, who will keep going out there and buying tennis games, because I will keep buying Mario Tennis games until they cease to exist. So now that we've said that, I want this game to not be a disappointment. I want this game because it looks a little bit sad. I thought about breaking it down like I did all the Age of Imprisonment trailers and the Yoshi trailer, but I just didn't want to. I looked through it and I just couldn't bring myself to be any more excited than I had been for Aces, because Aces was so perfect. It was refined. It was such a skill-based game. It was so much fun to learn and to really get into. I was in the top 100, and I don't have any proof of this, but I was in the top 100 of players worldwide in Mario Tennis Aces Online. I was that committed to this. I was watching streamers in June of 2018 play this game and really just watching people, and I found a way to like kind of stream snipe these great players across the world, and I would practice against them, and it was such a fun time. I love Mario Tennis. So I really want Tennis Fever to be great. And that is kind of like a lot of this list is just I want things to go well and be good. But this is one of those things where I'm just like, sports has gotten so much hate from Nintendo. Mario Sports, Mario Golf, like I've bought all these and enjoyed them to some extent, but I just don't want it to be another Battle League where it was fine, the gameplay was inherently okay, and everything else was just totally abysmal, and no one wanted to play it anymore, and it was a waste of every single person's dollar. It just isn't that type of game and that type of franchise that I think can fail like this, especially in the early parts of the Switch 2's life. So I really, really want it to be great. Next up, here's more of a niche one. I really want there to be an iconic soundtrack from one of these games this year, from any of them. I want there to be a soundtrack that just blows us all away from start to finish. Donkey Kong Bonanza was close. It was really close because I thought at the very beginning of that game with Lagoon Lair and then the Canyon Layer, like those themes, and of course Pauline being a singer, I really thought that game had potential to be the soundtrack I was looking for. It just kind of let itself down after those first couple layers. Like it just wasn't all that special. I mean, gosh, I look back at games like Mario Odyssey and 3D World, like those games specifically, every single soundtrack is a bop. Every single area you go to, it is just pure magic. In 3D World especially, every single level, you're like, what in the world? I sped through that level in about 3 minutes, and you spent all the time in the world developing some of the best soundtracks and track designs I've ever seen in my life. Like, oh my goodness, it's just amazing. The music theory behind it is incredible as well. I'm a nerd about that kind of stuff. I adore Nintendo soundtracks, and I want them to produce an incredible one this year. Mario Kart World had a really good one, but the problem with that one is that it was a lot of old tracks. It was a lot of remixes, and that's not a bad thing, but so many times that I listen to Mario Kart World, I think it's just the same old thing. It's just that they took the good that they had already made and made it different. And of course, the new tracks had some great ones, and I listened to those a lot. I love those tracks, but they just don't hit the same, in my opinion, because so much of that soundtrack is old. Give me a brand new soundtrack with brand new themes and songs that I can use in the background of these videos and can blow my socks off and just make me, man, just look back at Nintendo's history and say, they still got it. I guess I'm a Mario sucker. I've got one more wish from Mario here. Mario Kart World, I wish for it to continue getting patches, free updates, and to eventually get a larger DLC package either announced or released in 2026. I want Mario Kart World to be a massive game going forward for a long time. I want the game to be justified in its price points by how much content they add to the game. People buying this game in 5 years from now, I want them to look back and say every single year that they had this game, it got some new content. It got something worth getting them back into it, free and paid. Yes, I am asking for paid DLC because I don't think they're going to give us a substantial amount of content for free. So I'm wishing for a substantial amount of content, new characters, new tracks, whatever, in this year for paid. I'm going to pay. I'm okay with that. You know what? If it's my wish list, I want it for free, but they're not going to do that. So if I'm being realistic here with my wishes, which I try to be realistic in some sense, I'm asking for more content from Mario Kart World. I adore it. I've already put over 100 hours into it, and it's barely been half a year. I love Mario Kart World. I love it so much, and I want it to be more loved. And for it to be more loved, apparently, it needs to have more content, because that's the only thing that people can say about 8 Deluxe versus World, is that it has way more tracks. I made a whole versus video between Mario Kart World and 8 Deluxe, in which I compared the two and said why World was better for me personally. But I can never not concede that 8 Deluxe has more tracks. So I just want them to add more to World. All right, let's go over some Zelda wishes. Number 1, I wish for us to see the Zelda movie trailer in 2026. Now, this is probably going to come true because I believe it releases in May of 2027. I believe like May 18th. I could be wrong on that. Somewhere in the teens in terms of May. Might even be May 12th. But I really want to see our first glimpse, not just pictures like we have seen with the great Bo Braggerson as Zelda and the Benjamin Ainsworth as Link. I really want to see them in motion. I want to see what they look like. I want to see what this vision is, because any sort of trailer for any sort of live action movie by any director worth their salt is going to give you a glimpse at what the movie is going to feel like. I want it to feel serious. I want it to feel like a real movie, not like a animated Mario movie in which we're having a great time and we're referencing the games and there's a little bit of a plot here, but it's mostly just people enjoying Mario on the big screen. No. I want this to be a movie worth watching. If it didn't have Zelda in it, if it had nothing to do with the Zelda universe, I want this to be a phenomenal narrative-driven movie. And that's something that the games have really struggled with in Breath of the Wild's era, the narrative. So I really, really want to see a teaser trailer that at least confirms to me a little bit that they're going to try. And if they're going to try, I can be willing to accept it, whatever they have for us. But I just am so scared it's going to be a flop, that it's going to be something that people wish was animated instead, or some sort of Studio Ghibli type art style. No, it's live action. That's not where we're at. We have the Maze Runner director directing this film, and so I just want him to be in his bag. I want him to really fulfill this destiny, this heartache that most fans have been having for Zelda on the big screen. Get her on there, get him on there, make him look good, and I guess we're gonna see if Link is voice acted. And you know what? I'll even add in an extra wish here. My hope is that he is voice acted, but a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. With that little bit, make sure that he is mostly silent, right? Like he is a silent protagonist in the games. If he's going to be voice acted, I want him to be serious. I want him to be only speaking when he necessarily has to. Next up, it is the Zelda's 40th anniversary next year, and I do not think they're going to start talking about that or even celebrating it until we hit that middle of the year part, because Mario Day always seems to kind of get in the way of Zelda's anniversaries. We look back 5 years to the 35th anniversary of Zelda. In the June Direct is when they announced Skyward Sword HD, some Joy-Con themes for the Switch. They just announced a whole bunch of stuff to celebrate that anniversary, including a game alongside of it. And so this is my wish list, right? My predictions video, eventually coming soon. It will have a different answer here, but my personal wish for Zelda's 40th anniversary, that they give us either a Ocarina of Time remake or a Majora's Mask remake, or perhaps both in one package in terms of like an HD re-release. I want to be able to buy Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and have it in my hands and be able to play it, not just an NSO subscription. I do not want to play it that way. I don't like playing it that way. I like to have games physically or digitally, like I own them. I don't want them in a subscription base. And I have never played Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. I have heard the story about many of them. I know everything about both of them, but I want to experience it for myself, because Ocarina of Time to so many is the best game ever made. Majora's Mask was an incredible follow-up. I want to see what that vision was like for them to only use a year and a half, 2 years to develop that game right after Ocarina. I want to see everything with my own eyes. And I know we got Amiibo back in like the 30th anniversary, 10 years ago at this point, for that Zelda anniversary, but I want some more Amiibo. I want some cool Amiibo similar to the Mario Galaxy Amiibo with the Rosalina on the bookshelf thing, with the Mario going on the Warp Star thing, like those huge cool Amiibo that celebrated that Mario anniversary. I want to see it for Zelda. I want some new Amiibo that are really cool, and you know I go crazy for some Amiibo. The last bit of Zelda wishes I have here, this is gonna be odd. It's gonna sound odd. I don't want to see a 3D Zelda this year. Why? Because I do. I do, but I don't. Why am I wishing that I don't? Because there's no shot. There's no shot on God's green earth that they have this game in a ready enough state to show us that they are going to release it anytime soon. If they reveal it in 2026, I am almost certain that we will not have our hands on it until at least 2028. That is about how long I think it's going to take them, because Tears of the Kingdom released in 2023. Okay, we're coming up on its 3rd year anniversary. It's going to take at least 5 years for them to develop the next one and get it to our hands. So I don't want to see it in 2026 if we're not going to play it until 2028. I just don't want to. I don't want to wait that long. It is totally different if you are knowing that a game is existing, that you know you could see it at any point and are let down if you don't, versus the idea of you know it's coming, but you don't know what it is yet. And I don't want to know what it is yet if it's not going to be coming within the next year or two. If they do show it off this year, I hope that it is revealed for 2027 and that we only have to wait a year for it. But I would just be aghast if in the June Direct, they show us off for the end of the Direct, a brand new look at this new world of Zelda. We're going back to Link's roots. He's wearing his green garb and it looks phenomenal. It looks incredible. And yet it says coming 2027. And I think, wow, that's going to get delayed in 2028. And we're going to be disappointed and waiting for years for this game to release. I just don't see them taking any shorter of a time than 5 full years to develop this game with the ideas that they have, especially with Aonuma talking about Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment influencing the next game. In my opinion, if they are already considering influencing the next game, that means they're not far enough to get an actual trailer out there for us, outside of something like 2014's Breath of the Wild teaser that was a cinematic. I don't think that they can show us anything other than that. And that is not what I want to see, because that means we're going to have to wait forever for it. So to concisely summarize that, I don't want to see a Zelda trailer unless we know for a fact we're getting it within a year or two. And by a year or two, I mean either late 2026, which is almost impossible, or at least sometime in 2027. But if they do show it and they can release it and they can back up that promise, I want to see it because I love Zelda. So that's my wish for that. Here is somewhat of a niche thing that is not really all that niche because the game sold really well, but I never see people talking about it. So is it niche? I don't know. Luigi's Mansion 4. If you've been following this channel at all, you know I adore Luigi's Mansion. I want Luigi's Mansion 4 so bad. I am convinced there's no one else on this platform that wants Luigi's Mansion more than me. Give me Luigi's Mansion 4 this year, please, and give me a cool amiibo with it. I am so sad that we don't have a Luigi's Mansion amiibo. Give me an EGAT amiibo. Give me a Luigi amiibo with his Poltergeist. Give me a Polterpup amiibo. I just want some amiibo with Luigi's Mansion 4, and I want Luigi's Mansion 4 this year. Please and thank you. I know a 3D Mario and a Luigi's Mansion 4 in the same year is probably unlikely, so I'm probably only going to get one of those, but if I get either of them, I'll be happy. But I really want Luigi's Mansion 4, so please, Nintendo, do that. It's been plenty of time. It's been so many years. Next Level Games, you've bought them. You have them working on something. They are absolute wizards, and they know what they're doing. They're excellent at their craft. I hope that we get to see it this year. Please show us it this year. Okay, the last bit here is Nintendo media based. I want to see things outside of gaming this year because that is something that they are really moving towards, is just more outside of gaming stuff for Nintendo. So this is it right here. I want a Metroid movie to be announced in 2026. I think it would be such a cool take, and I want it to be serious. I want it to be PG-13. I want it to be something that everyone can go to and enjoy, but that it really does cater towards that higher teen age versus that young adult type age. I want it to be something that we can all appreciate and that's actually kind of scary. Actually, if you could just like do it off of Dread, that storyline and the Emmys like chasing Samus around, oh my goodness. Even if it was just based off like Metroid Prime or even the first Metroid or Samus Returns or whatever, I just want it to be a Metroid movie and it to be live action and it to look amazing because I really truly do think that is their next big gold mine right there. It could be bigger than any game ever was and get people into the games, because Metroid is a commonly known word. People know what Metroid is, they just don't know what Metroid is, if that makes sense. So if we're moving forward, I think the best way to get these Metroid games bigger life, and to get Metroid Prime 4, for example, even more sales, is to announce a Metroid movie. My last wish of 2026 is that we see something else from Nintendo Pictures. Last year, I predicted, and correctly predicted, that we were going to see something from Nintendo Pictures. I had personally predicted that we were going to see some sort of Splatoon anime, Splatoon show, something to expand the universe of Splatoon. It did not end up being that. It ended up being a very odd Pikmin short, in which it was entitled Close to You. It was about a baby rolling around this weird room, and Pikmin are moving the stuff and making him work and walk, and then the mom walks in, and it's a sweet moment, and Close to You. I don't know if they're going to continue other things with that Pikmin style, if that's the only thing we're going to get in that style of animation, if it's going to move on to a completely different graphical style, art style. I have no idea what they're planning on or what's going to happen there, if it's going to be a TV show, if it's just shorts. It's weird, and it's Nintendo-like, and I love that. I don't know what's happening. It's very unpredictable. So I really just want to see something from Nintendo Pictures again. I want them to genuinely show us something really cool, something we can all huddle around and say, this is great, not just a weird Close to You short. So those were all my wishes for 2026. But now, my favorite part that I've been looking forward to all year. Last year was my first time doing these end of year videos because it was the 1st December I had this channel. This is the 2nd December I had this channel. So now let's look back to last year and see what I got right. And I'm telling you, I got a lot. And it's so funny to look at this list right here because I got yes, no, yes, no, yes, no from 1 through 10. And then 11 was weird and pending. So stay tuned to the very end of this video to find out what 11 was. Starting off with number 1. I just wish that the Switch 2 would come out in 2026, specifically in the first half. And it did do that. It came out in June. It just barely skirted that first half line. I remember saying I would have been okay if it came out in December. That would have really sucked, but I just wanted it in the year of 2025 because we had waited for so long. 2024 felt like it should have been the year, and it just wasn't the year for the Switch 2. And 25, that was totally it, and we got it. I'm glad to have gotten that. My second wish was Luigi's Mansion 4. Did not get that. I'm 1 for 2. A lot of good games like 2017, but not as many. My argument was that I want more consistent, huge releases rather than a ton of releases in 2017 and nothing in 2018. I count that as, like, yeah, I did in fact get that wish, because the whole problem with this year, many people had a big problem with Nintendo, if they did at all, was that they didn't have a lot of big games. Like, the only big game we got was Mario Kart, and people didn't like it. We got Donkey Kong, which was technically a big release, but it was a Donkey Kong game, and that's not a necessarily huge franchise. And then we got a bunch of niche stuff. So I really did get that right. I wish we had gotten one more really big game with a lot of the niche stuff surrounding it and maybe pushed into next year. But hey, I count that as a wish granted. My next one was that we would get a 3D Mario at launch for the Switch 2. Again, another one that I did not get very clearly. It did not come out at all this year. We didn't see a sniff of it. We didn't see a single 3D Mario hint of anything. Not a single inkling of 3D Mario. It's very sad and honestly kind of weird. My next wish was that we would get something weird and quirky in 2025, similar to Nintendo Labo, Ring Fit Adventure, or Alarmo. I think when I was making this wish, I was in fact thinking along the lines of hardware, along the lines of something physical. But I am going to count Nintendo Today as that weird and quirky thing that we got this year. I am going to say that is a wish granted, that it was something that we got and that was weird and quirky, because Nintendo Today is a news app. And we got plenty of apps in the year 2025 and 2024 even, but the news app was weird and it was just kind of not needed or wanted by most people. And it's still not something that most people will look at today, but still, I will count that. I wished in 2025 that we would see a Zelda trailer, knowing it was a long shot, but I just really wanted to see it. I am not going to count that as a wish granted because I asked specifically for a trailer, and we did get some glimpses. We got some behind the scenes footage that was leaked. We got some official pictures released of both Bo Bragison and Benjamin Ainsworth, but I am not going to count that as a wish granted. Then I asked for Silksong to come out on the Switch 2 this year and to just come out in general in 2025, because at that time we still had no clue how long that was going to be in terms of waiting for Silksong. And boy, did we get it this year, and boy, was it great on the Switch 2 specifically. I love Silksong. Okay, this next one was kind of a long shot, a shot in the dark. I wished that the games would continue to be priced on a case-by-case basis, $60 to $70. wow, was I wrong. So what I was really going off there was in 2023, when Tears of the Kingdom was revealed to be $70, Bill Trinen said that it was going to continue to be a case-by-case basis in terms of how those games are priced. Then earlier this year, I got a little bit more hope in that because Mario Kart World was appropriately priced as $80 in terms of internal company stuff. However, they thought that was appropriate. They thought it was. And so they said that's going to continue to be a case-by-case basis for now, $70 to $80. So I wasn't right. I wanted it to continue to be 60 to 70 and people just to say like, okay, if we're getting a Kirby Air Riders or a Hyrule Warriors, that's a $60 game, and then a $70 game for more of a Donkey Kong Mario Kart World, not 70 to 80. So I totally did not get that wish. In fact, I got the opposite. We got an $80 game. Here we are again with another successful wish granted. I wish that we would not get a ton of cross-platform releases other than games that were already previously announced for the Nintendo Switch, like Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon ZA. I didn't want any new games to be announced that were going to be on the Switch and Switch 2 that were going to be big titles. Like, for example, if they had given us Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza both on the Switch 2 and the Nintendo Switch, that was a big fear. People were talking about that because, for example, God of War Ragnarok released on both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, one of Sony's biggest IP. That is essentially Nintendo giving us a Zelda game on both Switch 1 and Switch 2 on the first year of the Switch 2's life. No thank you. I did not want that because it would have been horrible for Switch 2 sales, would have been not a good reason to buy the console at all. It would have been horrible for the Switch 2, so I got that wish. We did end up getting Metroid Prime 4 delivered on the Switch 1 and 2, same for Pokemon ZA, but all the new games that were announced for Switch 2, thank goodness, stayed Switch 2 exclusive. This next one I am going to count as not granted, even though I kind of got it. I wished for a big on-stage type presentation like in 2017 with tons of big first-party announcements, which I did not get that wish. It kind of went a little bit against what I wished for earlier, with there to not be as many big games in 2025 and that they would really separate them to make sure every single year had some big games. But at the same time, I just was hyped, right? I wanted the big game. So if I didn't get one, I at least wanted to wish for the other. I think that was my logic there. I did not get the big on-stage style presentation, but we did get a 1 hour long Switch 2 Direct, even though the first like 20 minutes of that was them just yapping about different features and freaking game chat with the C button. What a weird way to spend the presentation. And of course on Mario Kart World, which we had already known about, then they didn't really show us anything other than Donkey Kong in terms of huge first party releases. We did get Hyrule Warriors and Kirby Air Riders, but you know what I mean in terms of that. It was just something that I'm not going to count. Then lastly, I had 11 wishes last year, 5 right, 5 wrong. I am going to say 11 is still pending. 11. I wished and hoped that Nintendo would learn from their past, learn from their mistakes, continue to move forward, not being tone deaf, to not get smacked across the face by them because of the Switch's success, that they would not go too big for their britches. I wished for them to continue the course, to not flounder, stay humble, and remember that at any time they could flop if they get too greedy. And boy, I think the major consensus amongst most Nintendo fans would be to say that I did not get that wish. That Nintendo $80 games is not the new standard, but we got it for Mario Kart World. So yes, that is a slap in the face to us that the Switch 2 was so expensive, that they did so many anti-consumer things, that game key cards were a slap in the face. I am saying pending, because Nintendo does still listen. In the Wii U era, they did not listen. In the 3DS era, they did not listen. In the Wii era, at the very end of that life, they did not listen. They did what they wanted to do. And of course, doing what they wanted to do is what got them that success in the first place. But the problem was they weren't taking any feedback. They were thinking they were invincible because they knew they had to be different. And so if they were different, it was okay if people didn't like it, but people were still buying. And as long as that bottom line was still good, it didn't matter what else happened. Well, here we are in 2025. They've made some mistakes. They have done some things wrong. But I do think they're adapting. I think we can already see them changing. The game keycard stuff already is them listening and adapting. In the Wii era, in the Wii U era, I don't think that would have happened. I don't think they would have given their developers extra gigabyte storage cards for their games. I don't think that would have happened. I think it would have continued to be the 64 gigabyte or game keycard or nothing. I think Kirby Air Riders, a game like that, is proof that they are listening, that they are really going out of their way to do fun and wacky things that actually do appeal to the hardcore fan base. That they're not just doing whatever they want for no reason. They're doing things for us, that they're listening to us. I think that a lot of this has to do with us and that they are listening. But I cannot deny a lot of this year has been pretty bad for Nintendo. And so I do think objectively many people could be correct in saying We should say this is not a wish granted, but I'm going to say pending. I'm going to say we still don't know the results on this. Alrighty, that is my wishes for 2026. Those were my wishes for 2025. I got 5 out of 10 correct. And you know what? For a wish list, which I do try to keep pretty objective and pretty down to earth, but for a wish list, 5 out of 10, that's pretty good. I got 15 for this year, so hopefully next year I get at least 5 more, right? I really hope that 15, maybe 15 for 15. I think I'll go 15 for 15, actually. I changed my mind. I'm perfect here. Well, thank you so much for making it to the end of this very long wish list video. I really appreciate your time, and I hope that if you enjoyed, you would press that subscribe button, press the hype button, subscribe to join the channel, and click that notification bell to know exactly when my videos release. Helps the channel out a lot. Consider joining my membership program to get early access to all of my videos and to just support me as an individual content creator. I hope you have yourself a holiday season that is full of joy and cheer, and make sure you click on the left side of your screen to see my video covering the death of game key cards, what potentially could be that whole situation that I was just talking about earlier, and click on the right side of your screen to see my rankings video of every single first-party release in Nintendo's 2025. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Make sure you have yourself a phenomenal day. This has been Ray's Nintendo Talk. I have been Ray, and I will see you all in the next video.